360 North fans. Today we're going to do some work on Z's KX250. We're going to talk to you today with a tech tip, and we're talking about the HotStart connector. OEM one's made of plastic. It's a terrible design. It allows water to get in there, which can seize the plunger, and well, it's plastic, so the threads strip out easy. So we're going to replace it with this billet aluminum piece. This particular one's made by the folks at Pro Circuit. It's a quality piece, costs you about 40 bananas at your local brick and mortar. If you check out the link below, you can find it on Amazon for about the same money. So symptoms of this going can be quite extreme. The last time Z had the bike out, he pulled the HotStart switch, which basically stripped all the threads out of the plastic. And once that happened, the bike is popping, it's stuttering, as you saw at the beginning of the video, and it won't really idle. The only way to keep it running is with the choke fully out. It's creating a lean condition, and the bike's not running properly. It's sputtering and choking, and so that's one of the symptoms that you're going to see. The threads on his are pulled completely out, so it's going to be a little easier to change as well. So we'll get into it. The only couple tools you're going to need is a 14mm wrench, a 12mm wrench for the new fitting. You should use a cable tie in order to secure the rubber boot to the top of here. That's something they recommend. You don't have to do that, but it's good for keeping the water out. And that's about it. So it'll be a quick one, and we'll get started. This is the carb on the 2007 KX250. A lot of the manufacturers use a similar design. So this HotStart that's made of plastic is used in many different models. So this is going to be applicable to the CRF, the RZ, or the RMZ. Anything that's using carburation and is around the late 90s to early 2000s model years. Anything that's fuel injected obviously isn't going to have this. As I said, it's stripped right out, so it's easy to remove. That's your HotStart plunger there. It's got a small O-ring on it depending on the year of your bike, and you can see that the threads are completely gone. There's nothing left to hold that in there, and that's why we got to replace it. Luckily enough, a bunch of moisture hasn't got in there that can seize this into the orifice there, and you're gonna have a real problem. Since the threads were stripped on ours, it pulled out really easily. Now we need to take the plunger apart. Just use your edge of your fingernail or a screwdriver if you don't have any nails. Pull the spring back, pull this toward you, turn it 90 degrees, and they separate. You can see that there's excess grease in here. We'll clean that up and re-grease it when we reassemble. The next step, we're going to pull the plastic piece off. The way you do that is you just separate the boot from the plastic. Just like that. So this is the old part, garbage. Throw that in your driveway and run it over with your truck. You don't need it. A carbon choke cleaner, clean off that excess grease. Just give this portion a quick wipe. Careful not to damage that O-ring. Once you've got the old grease off, you're going to apply a thin amount of grease to the plunger again. This is going to help ensure that if some moisture does creep in there, that this isn't going to seize in there, because it's extremely hard to get off. You usually got to pull the carb right off the bike, and even then you're in for some work because it'll be dickered. Everything's lubed up, you're ready to reassemble it. You can see I've slid this boot up the cable a little bit to allow you a little bit more play. In order to reinstall this, you're not going to want to thread the two pieces together. Otherwise, you're going to have a real hard time threading them into the carburetor. Slide your spring on, which you then got to compress. Slip this on and rotate it into place. You're reassembled. Thread this into the carb. Once it's good and snugged up, you'll slip this over, and like I said, it's a good idea to put a cable tie into that recess just to help as an extra layer of protection to keep the moisture out, because you don't want this seizing in there. If that ends up happening, chances are you're gonna have to pull the carb right off the bike, and you're gonna have a hard time getting that out of there once it's seized together. It'll be dickered. Okay, we've inserted the plunger and we're ready to start threading it in. I've got tiny little rat talons, so I fit in there. 360 North fans with big hands, you're gonna have a bit of a hard time. You're gonna try and reach a 12mm wrench in there in order to snug that up. Obviously make sure you don't cross thread it. or you'll be cursing. Without stripping things. There we go. Engage. Ah, no, it wasn't even. Okay, it's threaded in there. Obviously don't over tighten it. You're threading aluminum into aluminum and you don't want to strip things. Once you got it threaded in there, jam the boot back on. And then we got a little red high-speed low drag cable tie, obviously not purchased at a dollar store as raised in one of our other videos. And just gonna snug that up on that little lip I was telling you about earlier. Like I said, this isn't mandatory, but if you want that extra layer of protection to ensure that moisture is not getting in there, not a bad idea. There you have it, 360 North fans. It's that easy. Replace your HotStart fitting with one made of metal and throw this plastic one out. For those of you who are wondering what the HotStart is, this is the lever for it up here. And this is designed for after you've been riding the bike for a while. It's going to aid in you starting the engine by not flooding the bike once you go to start it again. So it's a very handy thing to have. A lot of guys are able to ride and they say they never use it. Other guys have to use it on a regular basis. Obviously the problem comes in is when that fitting pulls out of there, then you don't have it working at all. It's allowing air to pull into the carb, creating a lean condition, and now your bike won't run at all. So replace that plastic fitting as soon as you start to have problems with it, and you'll be problem free for as long as you own that bike.
You sound